The year was 1973. Two legends stood face to face in a Hollywood studio. Muhammad Ali, the heavyweight champion who'd defeated every opponent in the ring, looked down at Bruce Lee, a man who weighed barely 130 pounds. Ali's voice boomed across the room with that familiar confidence. "Could you beat me in a real fight?" The room fell silent. Cameras stopped rolling. Everyone expected Bruce Lee to laugh it off, to show respect to the greatest boxer alive. But what happened next would become one of the most legendary moments in combat sports history. Bruce Lee didn't back down. He didn't show fear. Instead, he gave an answer so brilliant, so unexpected, that it left Muhammad Ali completely speechless. Before we reveal what Bruce Lee said, smash that like button and subscribe so you won't miss stories like this. Comment below, Team Ali or Team Bruce Lee? The meeting that changed everything. Hollywood, 1973. The entertainment world was buzzing. Muhammad Ali had just returned from his famous fight with Joe Frazier, cementing his status as the most famous athlete on the planet. His record spoke for itself. 44 wins, 2 losses, and a personality bigger than boxing itself. At 6 feet 3 inches and 210 pounds of pure muscle, Ali had knocked out giants and danced around champions like they were amateurs. Bruce Lee, on the other hand, was becoming a global phenomenon for entirely different reasons. His movies The Big Boss and Fist of Fury had exploded across Asia. Now Hollywood was calling. At 32 years old, standing just 5 feet 7 inches and weighing 135 pounds, Bruce Lee was proving that size didn't matter when you had speed, precision, and a martial arts philosophy that was years ahead of its time. The meeting happened at a private event in Los Angeles. Ali was there promoting his upcoming fight. Bruce Lee had been invited as Hollywood's newest action star. Neither man planned what would become one of the most talked about conversations in combat sports history. Witnesses say Ali noticed Bruce Lee across the room. The boxer was known for his playful trash talk, for challenging anyone and everyone. He walked over with that characteristic swagger, his entourage following behind. Bruce Lee was demonstrating a technique to some Hollywood producers when Ali approached. "So you're the guy who thinks he can fight?" Ali said with a grin. It wasn't meant as an insult. This was how Ali talked to everyone, testing them, seeing if they'd rise to the challenge or crumble under his legendary presence. Bruce Lee smiled back. He'd heard about Ali's reputation both in and out of the ring. "I don't think," Bruce replied calmly. "I know what I can do." The conversation started friendly enough. Both men respected each other's craft. Ali had seen Bruce Lee's movies and was impressed by his speed. Bruce Lee had watched Ali's fights and marveled at his footwork. They talked about training, about discipline, about the mental game that separated champions from everyone else. But then someone in the crowd asked the question that everyone was thinking. Who would win if you two actually fought? The room went quiet. This wasn't just small talk anymore. This was a hypothetical battle between two different worlds. Western boxing versus Eastern martial arts. Power versus speed. Size versus skill. Ali, never one to shy away from attention, turned it into a challenge. "Bruce," he said loud enough for everyone to hear, "could you beat me in a real fight?" The weight of expectations. Bruce Lee felt every eye in the room turn toward him. This was a lose-lose situation. If he said no, he'd look weak, like he didn't believe in his own martial arts. If he said yes, he'd sound arrogant, disrespecting the greatest boxer in the world. The people around them started murmuring. Ali's team was smirking. They'd seen their champion destroy men much bigger than Bruce Lee. They'd watched Ali take punches that would knock out normal people, then come back with combinations so fast the eye could barely follow. To them, this was like asking if a house cat could beat a lion. Hollywood producers were calculating. Some were thinking about the publicity. Others were worried this could turn ugly. Bruce Lee was about to star in major American films. The last thing they needed was their new action star getting embarrassed by Muhammad Ali. But Bruce Lee wasn't thinking about any of that. He was thinking about his philosophy, about years of training, about the difference between sport fighting and real combat, about the lesson his master, Ip Man, had taught him years ago in Hong Kong. The fight is won before it begins, in the preparation and the understanding. Ali stepped closer. "Come on, Bruce," he said, his voice playful but with an edge. "All these movies, all these kicks. Could you actually beat me?" He threw a playful jab toward Bruce's face, stopping inches away. I'm 210 pounds. You're what, 130? I've got 80 pounds on you. My reach is longer. One punch from me and it's over. The crowd laughed. Not cruelly, but because Ollie made everything sound entertaining. He had a point that seemed obvious to everyone: size matters. Weight classes exist for a reason. Professional boxers don't fight opponents 80 pounds heavier, because the physical advantage is too great. Bruce Lee remained calm. His face showed no emotion. Those who knew him well recognized this expression. This was Bruce in analysis mode, watching, thinking, calculating. He'd been underestimated his entire life. When he first came to America, martial arts instructors told him Chinese fighting wouldn't work against bigger, stronger opponents. He'd spent years proving them wrong. You're fast, Ollie continued, circling Bruce Lee like he was sizing up an opponent in the ring. I've seen your movies. Those kicks are impressive. But movies aren't real fighting. In a real fight, you need power. You need to take a punch. Could you take one of my punches, Bruce? Someone in the crowd shouted. Ollie would knock him out in one round. Another voice called out, Bruce is too fast. Ollie wouldn't be able to touch him. The debate was spreading through the room. People were taking sides. The boxers and athletes sided with Ollie, citing size, power, and professional fighting experience. The martial artists and actors sided with Bruce Lee, talking about speed, technique, and the difference between boxing rules and street fighting. Ollie was enjoying this. He lived for moments like this where all attention was on him. Tell you what, Bruce, he said with his famous grin. We should make this fight happen. We'll sell out any stadium in the world. The greatest boxer versus the greatest martial artist. What do you say? The philosophy clash. Bruce Lee finally spoke, his voice quiet but clear. Ollie, you're talking about a boxing match. I'm talking about something different. What's the difference? Ollie shot back. Fighting is fighting. You hit the other guy before he hits you. That's boxing, Bruce Lee replied. But martial arts is about more than hitting. It's about understanding your opponent's weaknesses, using their strength against them. It's not about being bigger or stronger. It's about being smarter and faster. Ollie laughed, but not mockingly. He was genuinely amused. Faster than me? Bruce, I'm the fastest heavyweight who ever lived. I float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. Nobody's faster than me. Speed isn't just physical, Bruce Lee said. It's mental. It's seeing the attack before it happens. It's being where your opponent doesn't expect you to be. The conversation was getting philosophical, which wasn't what the crowd wanted. They wanted a direct answer. They wanted trash talk and bravado. But Bruce Lee wasn't playing that game. Someone in Ali's entourage spoke up. All respect to Mr. Lee, but this is ridiculous. Ali fought Sonny Liston. He fought Joe Frazier. These are the toughest men on the planet. No offense, but Bruce Lee does movie fights with choreography and wire work. Bruce Lee's expression hardened slightly. The movies are entertainment, he acknowledged. But my training is real. My philosophy is real. The question isn't whether I could beat Muhammad Ali in a boxing ring following boxing rules. That's his world. The question is different. Then what's the question? Ali asked, genuinely curious now. The turning point builds. Bruce Lee looked directly at Muhammad Ali. The question is, in a real fight with no rules, no referee, no rounds, no boxing gloves, where everything is allowed, what happens then? The room went completely silent. This was no longer about a hypothetical boxing match. This was about something more primal. Something that made everyone uncomfortable because they realized Bruce Lee was talking about actual combat, not sport. Ali's smile faded slightly. He'd been in real street fights as a young man in Louisville. He knew the difference between professional boxing and actual violence. You're talking about street fighting, he said quietly. I'm talking about survival, Bruce Lee replied. In the ring, you're the greatest. Nobody disputes that. You've mastered boxing better than anyone in history. But boxing has rules. No kicking. No strikes to the throat or eyes. No joint locks or grappling. In a real fight, all of those rules disappear. One of the producers stepped forward. Gentlemen, maybe we should change the subject. But Ali waved him off. No, let him finish. I want to hear this. Bruce Lee continued, speaking with calm certainty. You asked if I could beat you. The honest answer is, in a boxing ring following boxing rules, probably not. You're too experienced, too skilled in that environment. You've spent your whole life mastering that specific combat form. But, he paused. But what? Ali prompted. But if we're talking about a real fight, then everything changes. I'm trained to attack targets you're trained not to hit. I'm trained to use my legs as weapons, which doubles my striking options. I'm trained in distances and angles that boxing doesn't cover. Most importantly, I'm trained to end fights in seconds, not rounds. The answer that changed everything. The moment everyone had been waiting for finally arrived. Muhammad Ali stood tall, arms crossed, waiting for Bruce Lee's final answer. The question hung in the air. Could you beat me? Bruce Lee smiled. Not arrogantly, not nervously, just a knowing smile from someone who had thought deeply about this exact question long before Ali asked it. Muhammad, Bruce Lee began, using Ali's first name with respect. You're asking me if I could beat the greatest boxer in the world. But you're asking the wrong question. Ali's eyebrow raised. What's the right question? The right question is, what would I have to do to survive against you? Bruce Lee replied. Because that's how real fighting works. I don't need to beat you in the way you understand beating someone. I don't need to knock you out or win on points. I just need to survive long enough to find your weakness. And everyone has a weakness. The room leaned in closer. This wasn't the answer anyone expected. Bruce Lee continued. You can punch harder than almost any human being alive. Your combinations are lightning fast. Your defense is incredible. In a boxing match, I'd have maybe 30 seconds before you caught me with something that would end the fight. But here's what you've never trained to defend against. He moved suddenly, demonstrating. Not touching Ali but showing the motion. A low kick aimed at the knee. A finger thrust toward the eyes. A strike toward the throat. Each movement was explosive, precise, and unlike anything seen in boxing. These techniques are illegal in boxing, Bruce Lee explained. You've spent your entire career training your body not to expect them. Your stance, your guard, everything about your boxing is optimized for the rules you compete under. But in a real fight, those rules don't exist. Ali watched carefully. His playful expression had turned serious. He was actually listening now, analyzing. But here's the truth, Muhammad, Bruce Lee said, his voice softer now. You asked if I could beat you. The real answer is, I would never want to find out. Because if we really fought with no rules, one of us would get seriously hurt. Maybe both of us. And that would be a tragedy. The wisdom revealed. You see, Bruce Lee continued, the greatest victory in fighting is the fight you don't have. That's real martial arts wisdom. It's not about proving who's tougher or stronger. It's about understanding yourself and your opponent so well that violence becomes unnecessary. Ali was quiet. For one of the few times in his public life, he didn't have a quick comeback. Bruce Lee pressed forward with his philosophy. We're both at the top of our crafts. You've mastered boxing in ways that will be studied for generations. I've spent my life studying martial arts from around the world, synthesizing them into something new. We both know that real mastery isn't about beating others. It's about perfecting yourself. But if we absolutely had to fight, Bruce Lee added with a slight smile, I would do everything in my power to avoid your punches for the first 30 seconds. If I could survive that initial assault, if I could stay out of range of your power, then I'd have a chance. I'd target your legs, your balance, anything to neutralize your greatest advantage. Would it work? Maybe. Maybe not. But I'd have a strategy. Muhammad Ali finally spoke. So you're saying you'd run from me? I'm saying I'd be smart, Bruce Lee replied. There's no honor in getting hit by the hardest puncher in the world. There's no shame in using strategy over strength. That's not running. That's martial arts. The response that shocked everyone. Ali stood there for a long moment. Everyone waited for him to explode, to defend his honor, to challenge Bruce Lee to prove it. But something unexpected happened. Muhammad Ali started laughing. Not mockingly. Genuinely. You know what, Bruce? Ali said, shaking his head. You're the first person who ever gave me an honest answer. Everybody else either kisses up to me or tries to act tough. But you just told me the truth. You'd be smart. You'd use strategy. You wouldn't try to box me at my own game. He extended his hand. I respect that. That's real intelligence right there. Bruce Lee shook his hand. And I respect what you've accomplished in boxing. You've changed the sport forever. You've shown that speed and strategy can beat raw power. In our own ways, we're teaching the same lesson. The crowd erupted in applause. They'd come expecting a confrontation, maybe even a real fight. Instead, they witnessed something rarer. Two masters recognizing each other's greatness while acknowledging the limits of their knowledge. But Ali wasn't done. With his characteristic grin returning, he added, "But Bruce, don't think I'd make it easy. Those 30 seconds you're talking about? I'd make them the longest 30 seconds of your life. I'd be coming at you with everything I've got." Bruce Lee smiled back. "I wouldn't expect anything less from the greatest." The deeper meaning. What happened after that conversation became legendary in martial arts and boxing circles. Both men went on to speak about that encounter in interviews, always with respect for each other. Muhammad Ali later told a sports reporter, "Bruce Lee was different from anyone I'd met. He wasn't trying to challenge me or prove something. He was just honest about what he knew and what he didn't know. That's real confidence." Bruce Lee wrote about the encounter in his personal notes, which were published years after his death. "Meeting Ali reminded me that true mastery comes in many forms. His boxing is as pure as any martial art. The dedication, the discipline, the constant refinement of technique. This is what all martial artists should aspire to regardless of style." The lesson from that day resonates far beyond fighting. It's about respect. It's about understanding that different paths can lead to excellence. It's about being smart enough to recognize when you're outside your expertise. The universal truth. In the years that followed, this story became a teaching moment. Martial arts instructors used it to explain that effectiveness depends on context. Boxing instructors used it to show why rules exist in sports, not to limit fighters, but to allow specific skills to be developed to their highest level. Bruce Lee went on to create Jeet Kune Do, his martial arts philosophy that emphasized adaptability over rigid techniques. He often cited his conversation with Ali as an example of why martial artists must understand all forms of combat, not just their preferred style. Muhammad Ali continued his legendary boxing career, but he also showed more respect for martial artists and other combat sports. He understood that his greatness in boxing didn't make him invincible in all fighting contexts. The truth about combat, what Bruce Lee understood and what he explained to Ali that day, is a truth that modern mixed martial arts has proven. There is no single best martial art. There are only martial artists who adapt better to specific contexts. In a boxing ring with boxing rules, Muhammad Ali would almost certainly defeat Bruce Lee. Ali's experience, size, power, and mastery of that specific combat sport would be overwhelming. In a setting with different rules allowing kicks, grappling, or strikes to vulnerable targets, Bruce Lee's training would give him significant advantages that Ali had never trained to defend against. The real wisdom isn't about who would win. It's about recognizing that the question itself is flawed. Combat isn't about abstract comparisons. It's about specific contexts, specific moments, and the ability to adapt. Why this story matters today. In our modern world, we're obsessed with rankings and comparisons. Who's the greatest of all time? Who would beat whom? We create fantasy matchups and endless debates. But we miss the deeper lesson that Bruce Lee and Muhammad Ali understood. Greatness isn't about defeating everyone else. It's about mastering your chosen path while respecting others who've mastered theirs. Bruce Lee's answer to Ali, honest, strategic, and deeply thoughtful, showed more wisdom than any boastful claim could have. He acknowledged Ali's strengths, explained his own advantages, and recognized that real fighting is ugly and dangerous, something to be avoided if possible. Muhammad Ali's response, listening, learning, and ultimately respecting Bruce Lee's perspective, showed the character that made him great beyond his boxing skills. He was secure enough in his own abilities to hear truth from someone smaller and younger. The story reminds us that respect and intelligence often matter more than raw ability. Both men left that encounter with greater admiration for each other. Neither felt the need to prove anything through actual violence. They understood what too many people forget. The greatest victory is often the fight you win without fighting. The final wisdom. Bruce Lee said something else that day, something that witnesses remember because it captured his entire philosophy. A real martial artist doesn't seek fights. He seeks understanding. The moment you understand your opponent completely, you realize that fighting becomes unnecessary. Either you know you'd win, so there's no point in proving it, or you know you'd lose, so there's no point in risking it. Either way, wisdom says don't fight. Muhammad Ali nodded at those words. Years later, after retiring from boxing, he spoke about how fighting had taken a toll on his body and mind. He talked about the price of proving himself over and over in the ring. In his later interviews, he often mentioned Bruce Lee's wisdom about avoiding unnecessary fights. The tragedy is that we lost Bruce Lee too soon. He died in 1973 at just 32 years old, shortly after this encounter with Ali. We'll never know how his philosophy might have continued to evolve, but his legacy lives on in every martial artist who emphasizes intelligence over ego, strategy over strength, and respect over rivalry. Muhammad Ali lived long enough to become more than a boxer. He became a symbol of courage, principle, and the ability to evolve. The man who once boasted, "I am the greatest," became a humble advocate for peace and understanding. Perhaps some of that wisdom came from conversations like the one he had with Bruce Lee. If this story taught you something about respect, wisdom, and true greatness, hit that subscribe button. Share this video with someone who needs to hear this message. And comment below, what's your biggest takeaway from how Bruce Lee handled Muhammad Ali's challenge? Remember, the greatest victory is the one where everyone walks away with more respect than they came with. That's the legacy of Bruce Lee and Muhammad Ali, two legends who understood that true greatness doesn't need to destroy others to prove itself.